Aida Diarra. Aida Diarra joined Visa as SVP and Head of Sub-Saharan Africa in November 2018 from Western Union. In this capacity, she oversaw Visa's business operations in 48 countries and 10 offices in Sub-Saharan Africa. Having recently been named CNBC's Africa's Businesswoman of the Year for 2024, Aida is a recognized leader in the financial services and digital finances industry. Her work is centered on driving widespread digital adoption and promoting financial inclusion in Africa. Under her leadership, Visa expanded its global She's Next initiative to Sub-Saharan Africa, empowering women entrepreneurs with access to educational resources, networking opportunities, and financial support. This program has reached over 19,000 women-led businesses, enhancing their digital capabilities and enabling them to accept online payments, promoting economic growth, and providing secure and convenient financial solutions to communities across the continent.
Good morning, everyone. A suit with sneakers, with a splash of Africa, my dear, in 30 years, I don't think I've ever been that challenged to get ready. I promise you. Those of us who succeeded in getting it right should get extra bonus point, extra wine, extra candy or something. But thank you to the organizers for challenging us and making it a fun preparation exercise. Listen, it is a privilege for me to be here in this audience. I would like to start my note to you by talking about my mother. Those of you who have seen me in different instances know that I have a tendency to talk a lot about my parents, as I believe they've been at the core of what I have become, and they have a ton of experience I can capitalize from. So my mother has had 26 years at UNECA, the United Nations for the Economic Commission for Africa. And she retired in 1998. She was the director in charge of national programs to include women in economic development for Africa or in Africa. So as I was preparing this morning, I just was telling her about the program and how excited, I was to continue to discuss the agenda of empowering women in the economy. And then I realized that I had in front of me someone who had tons of experience, and I began to probe her and ask her about her work. And she began by explaining to me the underlying belief that drove her. It was like, when a woman thrives, it's an economy that thrives, and it's the community that thrives with her. So the first question I asked her was, okay, so what were the key issues you identified as you were, embracing your mission? She mentioned 3 things. She said the first challenge for women was, at the time, having access to information. The second challenge was to have access to resources to kind of build their businesses or grow their activities. The third point that she brought up was specific challenges for women to access markets. So when they were producing, how to access clients and how to grow their activities. So then my follow-up question to her was, so what was your strategic priorities? What was your focus? She said, we focused on mainly 3 things. The first priority was training. make sure that they had the best trainings given the different areas of focus or expertise that they had. The second priority was to mobilize resources to finance specific projects. And the third one was to lobby with government and make sure that as they designed their strategy for development, they include women in their agenda. So my next question to her was, so what happened? What challenges did you face as you unfold that strategy? Her feedback was, challenge number one was confidence of women in themselves and the lack of networking opportunities and avenues that they had at the time or didn't have at the time. The third challenge that she brought up was, indeed, the difficulty to mobilize resources to support women-led programs. And then the last one that she was a little bit disappointed about was to say the lack of scalability and sustainability of all of these initiatives to drive profound transformation and drive profound impact on the agenda of women empowerment and economic development. Although it's been almost 30 years ago, she's retired, and we've seen some progress. I'm sure that you agree with me that some of the topics discussed then are still very relevant today. Remember when I said, when women thrive, communities and economies thrive as well? This is even more relevant today in today's digital economy. And we need to make sure that we increase women participation in that agenda. And let me give you a few examples, yeah? When we look at internet access today, 30% of women have access to the internet compared to 42% men. When we look at mobile, that is so key in everything we do today, including commerce. There's 13% less women that have access to mobile. The gap is even wider when we look at smartphone. That number is 28% less women have access to smartphones. They also have fewer business opportunities and fewer employment opportunities. And then when you overlay that with the cultural practices and sometimes legal practices, it compounds the challenges that women are up against. In many of our countries today, you still need a man to have access to an ID. If you take my own example, as I attempt to renew my passport from Senegal, my son's passport from Senegal, I can't do it without the approval of his dad. This is reality still today. That said, there's been progress, right? When we look at education today, we look at African university, 50% of students, be it postgraduate, graduate, undergrads, are women when it comes to universities focusing on mathematics, science, technology, engineering. Huge progress there. When you look at entrepreneurship, 24% of new business that are started in Africa are women-led. And when we compare that to the rest of the world, it is a significant achievement. We're leading the way here. From a fintech perspective that is closer to Visa, we also see that women in Africa are leading the pack. Although the numbers are small, we're looking at 3.2% fintechs that are starting being women-led compared to 1.6% globally. That said, the traction is on. And I can't tell you how excited I was when during the last FinTech Accelerator program we organized, we had 65% of enterprises being part of the program being, women-led. So again, the traction is on. I just want to leave you with one number in terms of the outlook if we do a good job at, driving, women access to the digital economy. 15 billion is what we can anticipate to generate on e-commerce only, as we make sure that we reduce the divide between men and women when it comes to the digital economy. There's still a lot that we need to do from a digital literacy perspective, from an investment and support view as well, and making sure that we enable networking opportunities for women. We at Visa are, supporting a lot of programs. She's Next, you're going to hear about it in our next panel. The Visa Everywhere initiatives, where we really, really focus on these young entrepreneurs, women-led activities and programs to support the agenda of diversity and women integration. When we are successful, the results are exhilarating. You will see examples later this morning and later today of successful women in the digital world who have built incredible business and sustainable business in Africa. I want to take the opportunity to thank Forbes for creating that opportunity and forum for us to continue to reflect on what our responsibility is to continue to be the driving force of the agenda of diversity and women empowerment and women playing their fair share in economic development in Africa. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.